Good evening, televiewers. You're welcome to Prime Hour on my Media Prime, the first for the week. This evening, we're going to be looking at our regional assemblies for the Northwest and Southwest regions. We are asking the question as to what real powers and resources they command on the ground to be able to achieve what the population expects from them. If time permits, we also are going to be answering the question as to whether the world has forgotten about the Anglophone crisis. Very little is said about what is happening in Cameroon in relation to the Anglophone crisis. What is happening? Why is the African Union not even making mention of any such existing problem in Cameroon? Why is the United Nations not saying anything? Even at the level of Cameroon civil society, very little is being said about the Anglophone crisis. Where are we with it? And this evening we are discussing these two topics with our panelists who are in the house already. We have Fcfa Tayon. He is the Secretary for Communication for the Cameroon Renaissance Party. They call him the Kangaroo Man. Fcfa Tayon, welcome.
Thanks very much, Leo. It's my pleasure making present here today. Of course, with level-headed panelists who are present. Of course, when I see Mr. Esong Larry from Cape Town in Kumba, I know the matter is very critical, and I see Dr. Dibacho is beside me here. So, with another level-headed panelists who are all around, but I think greetings to the people who are getting us, especially to members of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement. We talk about Professor Maurice Kamto, President-elect of this country, and a host of others. But our worry has been that we continue to have dozens, we continue to have hundreds of militants illegally detained. I repeat, illegally detained, when there are others who have caused more harm than good to this state, and they are moving around in the total freedom. I think it's a call for concern, and we shall continue to insist and continue to be a thorn on the flesh of the Yaoundé regime, as kangaroo as it is, to ensure that the right things are done at the right time. Thank you.
We're also in the company of Mr. Larry Esson, who is the CEO of the Scoop Media Group. Good evening, Mr. Larry, all the way from Kumba.
Good evening, Leo. Good evening to fellow panelists. It is another very great pleasure for me to be here 3 years exactly after I was on this panel on same day, on the 4th of April, 2019, on handling the very topic we are handling today, but this time it was the intransigence of the regime towards the Anglophone crisis. And today, I think we're coming back to talk something that has some connotation with the same crisis. And I'm privileged, I want to say I'm privileged to be part of this wonderful evening, and I thank God for keeping us alive 3 years after.
Okay, we're also in the company of Dr. Michael Ndimacho, who is a very active member of Cameroon Civil Society, also lectures in some universities across Cameroon. Good evening, welcome.
Thanks so much, Mr. Leonard. I think I'm particularly grateful for the fact that Mr. Larry is keeping. How time flies too. We were in the same panel in 2019, and we're here again. We are. Special greetings to the Kangaroo Man too, who never wraps his tongue. It's a pleasure to be on a panel with these heavyweights. We thank God for Cameroon and is advancing despite all the odds. And you know, even though we are having some issues about our country advancing, we are happy that the youth are breaking grounds like the Indomitable Lions, of course, who are going to wake up. At least we have a lot of things to hope for in Cameroon, and we think that it's our country. We have to fix it, and we know that when things are put on the table, everybody will sit on the table to fix the things in Cameroon. Even be they the separatists, be they the government, I think that is our country. We will fix this country and make it a better place for people even to ask for visas and come to Cameroon. And I know we are hopeful. Yes, thanks so much.
We also are in the company of Mr. Basil Etogo. He is representing the Cameroon CPDM party. Yeah, it's not representing Cameroon. He's representing his political. Yes, good evening, welcome.
Good evening, Leonard. Good evening to all the panelists. Good evening to the televisions. It's a pleasure to be here to debate about the program given to me, us. I hope that the program will be very attractful and enjoyable.
Okay. I'll start with you. Larry Essong, you attended the session, Regional Assembly session for the Southwest this year. You were there. The Kangaroo man was in
the Northwest.
In the Northwest. Give me the picture of what our regional assemblies today represent on ground.
Yeah, the regional assemblies to an extent represent the people and the civil portion of the region, especially those of us in the two English-speaking regions of Cameroon, that is the Northwest and Southwest region, enjoying the special status. We are privileged to have a bicameral session, emanating from the special status, and of course the law number 2019/024 of 24th of December 2019, that was instituted to lay down the rules for the general code of the local, regional and local authorities. So to summarize what I would say is that the regional councils have come to stay, and there is just enough to hope for despite the challenges.
The regional assemblies are existing. They had a session last week. You were part of that session in the Southwest region.
Yeah.
The man in Kumba, so to speak, the man in Balangi, and the rest of others, are they aware of the existence of this regional assembly? What is the picture they have of their representation at that level?
Yeah, the man in Kumba, the man in Balangi, the man at Tekondo Titi, and maybe in Bandi, maybe separate persons, and in separate locations.
Even the man in Boya.
Even the man in Boya. Now, when I'm calling Kumba, I'm looking at a cosmopolitan town, I'm looking at the metropolis where, in fact, things are gradually or probably not as bad as having access to places like Balangi, which we know were the hot bit or the hot spots for insecurity. And so the feelings or the kind of impression or the impact that the man in Boya will feel of the regional assembly will not be the same impact the man in Bandi will be feeling now 1 year on. Because we're saying this. Why am I saying this? There are projects that could be effectively, that were earmarked to be carried out in these areas, but that could not be carried out for security reasons, which you know. And so for these people to feel the impact of the regional assembly, as it is called, they should be able to at least see some feasible projects.
Yeah, but
that are
away from these areas, Kangaroo man, let us stay within the cosmopolitan settings in these two regions. Do people actually, the man in Moliko, does he feel the existence of a regional assembly that works for Imora?
Of course it does. Okay.
Well, I think I'm getting the way Larry is putting it when he says the man does feel it. Something's wrong somewhere along the line. You see, we are always at the point whereby it's either we educate the people about the realities of the regional assembly or we uneducate them. Now, I talk as a grassroots reporter, which you know that I don't earn only at the urban areas. I am a man who moves right into the interlands. If we talk about the areas, take for example the Northwest Regional Assembly. I will tell you that the feeling that is to tell you that people in Bamenda are feeling the pinch of the presence of the Regional Assembly is a lie. Why do I say so? Even when I gallivant over to Boya, if not of the fact that some of us are pressmen that out of curiosity, we move closer to some of the regional officials to find out things. But the man on the street who does not have what it takes to knock the door of one of these officials for questioning and answers does not know what is really transpiring until when they have to give maybe some gifts to IDPs as Southwest did of recent. Then they call media men. Maybe my brother Larry is talking because when those outings are concerned, normally they will call the media. And the media will come and they go out, maybe sometimes they go back home with something and then, they say it's feeling. No. I am talking because I know what they do. I know what the regional assembly does. I know their limits. But as I said earlier, I am knowing because of the pressman. investigating who goes closer to them. But if you take a vox pop, this is a testing mechanism, Mr. Akum. Let the reporters in the northwest, southwest moved on the ground at the vox pop and ask them about regional assembly and if they feel the impact. Out of 10, only 1 will tell you that he is seemingly feeling. Not that he's feeling, he is seemingly feeling. Now, if you look at it critically, I said we are in a kangaroo system where people are confused with laws up and down. Now, I attended a session at the Bamenda City Council sometime, and the issue of gas plant in Northwest and a tomato factory was mentioned. In the recent session, still in Bamenda, gas plant came up seriously as if it was championed by the Northwest Regional Assembly. I began to ask myself, who is in charge of this project? What is the role of the Regional Assembly and that of the City Council? We'll be coming ahead. We'll try to dismantle because the semblance of the issues of digitalization is a scam. A big scam on the side of those who feed fat from wherever they're feeding. But we're saying that if we have regional assembly, if they are still to be felt on the ground, it means they have a lot of work to do. If they are to be felt as per their specifications as per the law, it means that they still have work to be done rather, because if we talk about a semblance of activities, I would tell you that they have been dormant most of the time, probably because their specifications is not warranting them to move the way they are supposed to move. But if I move sometimes when I visit, now the peculiarities with the regional assembly in the Northwest is that when I moved as an investigating journalist, I decide not to go to the president, or I decide not to go to the head of the Northwest House of Chiefs at the time when he was still there, because he too is my very good friend before the mishap happened. And I have a handful of other traditional rulers whom I'm closer to them. As a custodian of tradition, by virtue, I'm closer to most of them. And so sometimes when you talk with them, you realize that it gets to a point that sometimes they themselves don't even understand exactly why they are there. They are watching me and they know what I'm talking about. That if we sit in our own caucus, they say, Master, these things like that, we are just following from specific. It means that they must get an order from somewhere to trigger why. Because the financial resources have a line that they follow. It is not like we'll tell you that you have your own full-fledged finance that you move. But now, if you look at it critically, now, Mr. Larry understands the law very well. What does the law say? The law of the functioning of the regional assembly tells you that the president of that assembly is the representative of the head of state in that region. Representative of the head of state.
No, he is the chief executive officer.
Chief executive officer.
Because the
Sorry,
representative,
yeah,
just come in.
Yeah.
The representative of the head of state is the governor.
Yes.
And he incarnates the other
They say the president of the regional executive council, that's section 359. It says the president of the regional executive council shall be the chief executive of the region.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes, that's of the region. Now, when you look at it critically, you realize that when you go further, you realize that in the course of his duties, first things first, you realize that he has still been placed in a way that even the seemingly autonomy we are talking is not even there. I'll tell you that you cannot hold a regional assembly meeting without informing the governor. And when you hold a regional assembly meeting, the same powers, governor has the powers, in which case, if he deems it not fit for that meeting to hold, he will tell you that that meeting will not hold, I will not hold. Now, this is where I'm talking about selling the goat and holding the rope. It's there, and I understand what I'm talking about.
Okay. Dr. Michael Ndimancho, we are talking about the real powers that these guys command out there and the resources made available to them. I want us to stay with the powers. Do you have the feeling that the regional assembly presidents for the case of the Southwest and Northwest regions are effectively the chief executive officers of the region?
Mr. Kum, I think that if they are not, which of course, according to law, they are. If they are not, it means that they have decided not to be. Because according to the prescription of the law given to them, they are supposed to actually take things into their hand. Let me take, for example, it look like, because the first thing we are looking at is what resources do they have to be able to manage. And when you look at section 25, where it is actually specified that each year the finance law shall determine the fraction of state revenue to be allocated to the common, the regional council, and they say after precise that the fraction may not be less than 15%. That is already something. That makes us understand that they have something they have to function on, which is already important. Yeah. Now, let us ask ourselves, with all this, they have been functioning since 2019. What have they been doing with it? Because when you look at the powers devolved to the councils, because this way we judge them, this way we judge them. What power? What are they supposed to do? Because in judging them at the end of it all, we will say you were supposed to do this, you were supposed to do this, you were supposed to do this, and you had the revenue to do these things. What did you do? And when you look at section 156, 157, 158, which deals on the economic action, which deals on the environmental, and which deals on the health, which deals on education, which deals on sports, you will understand very well the prescription of these people. And then you start asking yourself, when they say that they are supposed to take charge of the agricultural development, fish farming, tourism, managing teachers and all that, and then we begin to go gradually. Let me look, for example, in terms of education, which of course, at the local council, they are in charge of recruiting, managing teachers. And then when you hear, I give the example of Ngokitonja, where you still have the GO who is sanctioning teachers. You ask yourself a question. You go to Kumbu, you find a GO writing a letter and actually, threatening teachers. You ask yourself a question. Now you go to these areas and then you say that these areas, they lack teachers, and since this regional was installed, I have not heard them either recruit. That is it. I have not heard anything about that. And when I go locally, I don't see how they are empowering people in terms of maybe because they say they have to build motor parks, they have to build markets, they have, supply water, and some of these public amenities, you don't see them do. And then you ask them, the 15% budget that they gave them since 2019.
It's not been given.
It's not okay. You are now going to be able to tell our viewers it has not been given and why has not been given. Means that they are not yet taking function. That is the question we should be answering now. If they are not given, means that we don't have to blame them. They are not yet taking function. Even right now, as I say, do they have offices? Those are some of the questions we'll be answering this evening.
Okay.
Let me just answer something before we get to now the 15% at the law, that law you cited there. The law talks of may, which is conditional. I don't know. Let's look at it in English. The law does not say must.
Yes, it's may.
It is may, which therefore means it may and may not. Doctor,
let me come. You start by saying that each year the finance law shall determine the fraction of revenue to be allocated to the common.
That fraction should not may not be less than 15%. I would have expected that literature to be should have been replaced with should not be less than 15%. And if we had it there, now it would have been something compelling, something binding, something kind of tying. Unfortunately, that's not what we have in that.
And then secondly,
let me come again by concluding that the 15%, which is supposed to be counted, it's not 3 billion that has been assigned to the regional councils. It's not a representative of the 15% of the budget. It's not 3 billion. And even with the 3 billions, it's not all that is true. So you understand therefore that the people are, because I will come back to Tayon's.
Let me just give just a second.
Yes.
Now let's forget about the 15%. Look at section chapter 2. Subsection 1, which talk about the administrative autonomy of local authorities. It says that public and local authorities shall have their own assets, staff, public and private property and services from those of the state and other public bodies.
Yes.
It goes further. In section 2, it says financial autonomy of local authorities. Local authorities shall have their own budget and resources for the management of their regional and local interests. Means that what? Away from even the 15%, they have something to work on.
Okay, they have something to work on. No.
Okay.
Let's
get our panelists this way.
Monsieur Basile, vous êtes dans le littoral, nous tous.
Tout à fait.
Oui, conseil régional. Est-ce que l'homme qui vit à Yabassi, qui vit même ici à Bonamoussali, est-ce qu'il sent vraiment l'existence de cette conseil?
Oui, déjà il faut quand même relever que le conseil le conseil régional, la décentralisation est effective au Cameroun depuis 2019, où on a mis en place, n'est-ce pas, le conseil régional, qui est la dernière institution, n'est-ce pas, qui avait été prévue par la Constitution du Cameroun, autour du 8 janvier 2016. Il faut reconnaître que c'est déjà une avancée. Maintenant, au niveau du conseil, il y a un cadre juridique qui a été défini. Cela veut dire, vous voudrait dire que le conseil, la décentralisation a deux étapes. Il y a deux volets. Il y a le volet autonomie et le volet d'administration libre. Au niveau du volet autonomie, il faut quand même reconnaître là qu'il y a le pourcentage, il y a de 15% des revenus de l'État qui sont versés aux communes. C'est déjà une avancée. Maintenant, il y a la gestion libre qu'il faut véritablement implanter parce que actuellement, je crois qu'ils sont en train de mettre en place les locaux. Au niveau de la délégation du conseil régional, ils ont trouvé un local, l'ancienne bâtisse de la sous-préfecture de Douala-Premier, où ils sont installés. Je pense qu'ils ont déjà occupé les locaux, tous les aménagements sont déjà faits. Maintenant, ils sont dans le cadre du recrutement du personnel. C'est déjà une avancée, parce que ça prouve concrètement que toutes les institutions de la République ont été mises en place, et que le chef d'État a répondu favorablement à toutes ces promesses électorales, qui étaient de mettre sur pied toutes les institutions de la République avant de quitter le pouvoir. Maintenant, il faut quand même reconnaître qu'il y a le Conseil qui tient vraiment l'autonomie financière dans la région, doit être doté de personnes qui soient capables d'aller chercher d'autres sources de financement que de se baser, n'est-ce pas, des financements qui viennent de l'État. Parce que ces financements ne vont rien résoudre, il faut le reconnaître. Parce que les 15%, c'est surtout l'ensemble des conseils, des communes, des collectivités territoriales qui seront en péréquation, il faut le reconnaître. Donc, il faudrait que les membres du conseil, notamment les présidents du conseil régional, doivent aller fouiller des ressources en signant des partenariats bilatéraux ou bien des partenariats économiques avec certaines structures ou bien des partenaires internationaux. Parce que sans ça, il ne peut pas avoir de développement. Il faut qu'on se le dise. Parce que les 15% ne représentent rien du tout. Et je pense que ce n'est que ce qui entre dans le budget de fonctionnement. En ce qui concerne le budget d'investissement, il faudra qu'ils aillent trouver ailleurs des possibilités de financement. Et c'est là où j'attire l'attention, n'est-ce pas, de ceux qui président les conseils, de véritablement mettre sur pied un mécanisme afin de déterminer les ressources propres. Parce que c'est ce que la loi dit. Il faudrait que le conseil vive de ses ressources propres. Je prends un exemple dans la ville de Douala. Les ressources propres de la ville de Douala, c'est le Vouri. Donc ça veut dire que c'est le fleuve Vouri. Ça veut dire qu'il faudrait que le conseil régional puisse trouver des mécanismes pour exploiter le fleuve du Vouri, afin de prouver des sources de financement propres, sans toutefois attendre de l'État. C'est de ça qu'il est question.
Okay.
Donc, il faut voir tout cet ensemble de choses. Donc, je prendrai certainement, je reviendrai là-dessus dans ma deuxième prise de parole.
Okay. Fondon Richard, good evening to you. Kenzo Janice Lomessi, good evening to you. Mark Emus Andy, Aqua Rigobert, good evening to you. Mukum Gilbert Temang, Wesa Kole, good evening to you. Lamfu Ntakang, and to you, Entril Elvan, all of you guys are watching the program. Good evening to you. You call yourself the bulldozer. I want us to look at powers. The powers, it says that section 359 says, the president of the regional executive council shall be the chief executive of the region. As such, he shall be the interlocutor of the representative of the states, represent the region in all civil matters and before the law courts, chair the sessions of the regional assembly, chair the sessions of the House of Divisional Representatives when it sits, prepare and implement the deliberations of the regional assembly, authorize the revenue and expenditure of the region subject to separate provisions laid down by the laws in force, manage the property of the region and monitor such management, particularly with regards to movement on such property subject to the duties devolving to the representative of the state and mayors. Now, going back to section, fast forwarding to, rewinding to section 73, it says, under the authority of the President of the Republic, the minister in charge of local authorities and the representative of the states in the local authority shall exercise state control over local authorities in their establishments and their establishments. Sub 2 says the control powers referred to in subsection 1 above shall be exercised to the exclusion of any assessment of timeliness and subject to the cases provided for in section 77 below. The governor appointed by decree of the President of the Republic shall be the representative of the state in the region. In this capacity, he shall be responsible for national interests. Just by saying that, how do we understand? The President of the Regional Executive Council is the President, is the Chief Executive Officer
of the region.
Then it says the governor shall be the representative of the head of state in the region.
I think that's exactly, before I get to that point, I just wanted to make some clarifications here, especially with the intervention of Tayon Elvis, an orator I respect much, especially when we're on plateaus like this, on platforms like this. So I just want to reiterate on the fact that he has kind of, looked at the regional assembly from an in-depth perspective, as though it's an institution that has been there in the past 10 years. The regional assembly started in less than 1 year. We agreed that it was the last step towards the implantation of the decentralization process in Cameroon. And so, when you look at the regional assembly from when they started, the starting point was the session of as of right. And then thereafter, you look at the situation. Did the assembly actually have funds to function and go ahead? At the end of the day, you realize that there was much to be done. So I'm looking at the assembly not from the perspective of something that has existed. They are less than 1 year old. And as we still talk, they are implanting structures. Structures are not yet implanted. Look at where we are. There is the organigram is not yet effective. So what do you expect? What they received last time was for the furnishing of their offices and maybe to carry out 1 or 2 seminars and training programs. This was done, but I think some councils, like regional assemblies, like the Southwest Regional Assembly, went beyond that and provided some borehole and some other classes and benches to some of those, because we are in a crisis zone, and that had to attract at least even those who are really stepping into the shoes of trying to manage civil issues now. So I wanted to put it straight there that it is not a matter of pressmen pocketing, it is a matter of reality. When you go there, what time did the money? You remember at one time the vice president of the regional assembly and the president of the Southwest Chief Conference was out, and he made an outing that almost created that, I would want to say, probably triggered the coming of some few finances that could enable them to hold sessions. Otherwise, it would have been, it would have been an assembly that would have gone 1 year on without anything to fall back. So to me, I think it is a situation where things are still being put in place so that they can function. Even the 15% we're talking about, I said here that the 15% has not been received effectively. And somebody just buttressed the fact that even if the 15% were to do, it will not suffice for the development or the investment that we expect councils to do. The councils have to harness the resources they have around them, and why not even lobby abroad there to have investment partners who are capable of, kind of affecting the kind of development that their parents, that their people have.
You are not answering my question.
No, I am getting now. I wanted to first of all clear this point. Yeah. Now, your question is, back to your question.
The question is, the President of the Regional Executive Council shall be the Chief Executive of the region. That is what Section 359 says. And then Section 73 says the governor appointed by decree of the President of the Republic shall be the representative of the state in the region.
That's it. Now, you see, that's why he was trying to say here, my co-panelist was trying to say that the decentralization process, especially at the level of the region, is done in two ways. First of all, we have the administrative which is the administrative section of the district that is handled by the governor of the state, who is the representative of the head of state in that domain, and then the civil management of it, which is handled by the regional council president. So that is where the whole thing is. But now where I find fault is that after having somebody elected, you place him under an appointee, an appointed person, because he is subject to the appointee, which I think the law or the structure doesn't function well. And even as that, he is not just that's what we see. We're talking about the powers now. We're talking of powers here. I'm talking of competencies and resources. Now he is not there alone. In that whole structure again, you impose another person, an appointee who has same powers like him. When you read the law appointing independent public conciliators, it tells you that they have the same power, share the same powers like regional presidents, which is somebody who has been elected, and we say we are decentralizing. Somebody is elected by the people, and he is supposed to represent them, answer them. You put somebody there again, you probably equate him with another person, sharing the same powers, the same this thing. Are we not still, like Tyon rightly said here, kind of giving the goat out there and holding the rope? So I think here, in as much as I recognize the fact that the governor's role is that of representing the head of state, supervising, playing the supervisory authority role, I still want to believe that, and I still hold firmly to the fact that it is still caging the kind of decentralization and the freedom of the regional house.
Okay, it's caging the kangaroo man. We are on us. Good evening to you, Nadia Keningong, who is watching us from Germany. Glad to know that you are watching alongside Dr. Akko John Akko and the womb, Emmanuel Entrail, Eve Njabado, and all of you guys are watching through our Facebook handle. Now, we are looking at the position that these guys occupy. You've heard me read out sections 359 and sections 73. Sub 4, that says the governor shall exercise the supervisory authority of the state over the region. Now, when they say these presidents of our council, executive council, chief executive officers, are they not also giving so much hope to people when they cannot meet their expectations?
Well, I said earlier that the whole setup putting them up is a confused system. Confused, no matter how juicy we put it here on air, it's a confused system. Now, if you look at it, there's a semblance of giving the president of the regional councils like they are the overlords of the region. It doesn't work like that. On paper, it is true. The practicalities, it doesn't move like that. Because you get another contradiction on the side of the governors themselves, who equally tell you that they represent the head of state. I cannot represent the head of state and then you are the lord in an area. Because when I represent the head of state, I incarnate the powers of the head of state. Which means that you could be the boss of the region, I represent the head of state, and I tell you that this thing is not correct because I'm acting as the head of state, who is the supreme, and it doesn't move. Now look at it. When you go to that the first law you just read, the provisions of what the president of the regional assembly is supposed to do. Now you understand that even the properties within the regions are under him. That is, he's in charge of the properties of the region. Now you begin to ask yourself, if he's in charge of the properties in the region, now the regional delegates of state property and land tenure, what do they take care of? Because they are the ones who take time to demarcate state properties. If you go most of the buildings, they have the way they demarcate state properties in most of the buildings. Now you start asking now, if these persons are there, are you telling me that they now are only playing supervisory role as well? Because you are now telling us that the president of the regional councils, of course, they are the overall bosses in terms of the properties for the region. Now, look at another controversy that comes in. That I say that these laws, that they think sometimes we are fools. And only people who don't understand will go behind jubilating. Now, we are told that for all matters, all legal matters for the region, you get the point. They are, that which means that the president of the regional assemblies are the overall bosses, which means they represent the region in all legal matters and all the like. But now you understand that we have what we call Procureur General in each region. And you know the powers these persons in the judiciary hold. Now, when it comes to issues of litigations, you start asking the question, where is their own role? Could the regional president sometimes really have that role to represent the region in legal matters when the Procureur General or the president of the court, probably like what you call if you have the court of first, rather the Supreme Court or the High Court rather, who equally have a role to play in carrying out their representation. So at the end of it, you discover that the law is moving ahead and moving behind. And give you the example as that these presidents of the regional councils, they have all it takes to be the real landlord. Now, as I said earlier, when the governor weighs in playing the supervisory role, and then you have also the chief executive officers that we are told that it's given to the president of the councils. Now, if you go further in that law, the law tells you that when it comes to aspects of health and roads and education, most of the times, which means the law tells you that they link up with the ministries concerned. Now, where is the mix-up? When they link up with the ministries concerned to carry out their projects, you discover that each ministry has its own agenda first, when it's developing its budget at the National Assembly and at the Senate. And you can't tell me, for example, with the 15% which they have, assuming that they still have a long way to go to start looking for funds. Now, if you regional council, you say you want a school to be here, and it was not a priority on the Ministry of Secondary Education or Basic to get that school, the school does not move. Which means that you would have wished it to be. You don't have the budget, but the powers tells you that you are supposed to assist in the educational matters, in ameliorating the educational aspects of the region. It means that you still get limited because you are functioning on 15%. The rest of the money has to be looked by you, and you also have something to do with roads, health. Look at the Colorado situation, if I may come now. You realize now that the regional delegate of public health for the Southwest, for example, has been at the forefront. Obviously, the Minister of Public Health also arrived, which means that at the level of the public health, they are mapping out strategies to stamp out cholera, which means it's financing and budgeting. Now, if you regional councillors want to move into that domain, which the law permits you to carry on some developmental aspect in the field of health, the next question is, will you be taking permission from the public health ministry? And if you talk with them, and that is not in their agenda, do you go and put a health center in Bingwanji when it is not under the Ministry of Public Health? Because they work with their priorities. So at the end of it, we realize that we are making a way that the laws themselves are what we call duplication of functions. Now they talk about twinning, which means that the president of the regional council has what it takes because of the 15%, which is considered minimal, which means he has the right to twin or to canvass for investments from wherever it is. That one is true. Now, with that provision of the law, that makes clear that the 15% cannot go to run all the loads they have given to the regional council because they are giving them more than they can swallow in terms of load. Now, because of this load they have given on paper, the practicality will take the next 50 years, if we are not careful, to be realized. Now, in this case, what becomes the role now of the city council? If you are in the area where you have the city council and the regional council is there, now they too have the aspect to do the same, which means to twin, to get other council or further donors. The subdivisional councils also have that same prerogatives under the law of decentralization to do the same twinning. So at the end, subdivisional councils are twinning, city councils are twinning, the regional councils are twinning. So at the end, they are twinning to which direction? The directions will tell you that under health, under roads, and all the like. This is where the issue comes in. If they were twinning at the level where the results would have been there, it would have been much more better. Because this is where we have the problem, Mr. Leo. We'll get to a point whereby, since as you say, the regional council is the overall boss, we'll get to a point that if you have a city council that is sometimes sleeping, he can relax after the city council, after all the regional council, it is his job to do that. Now, you could get to a subdivisional council who could equally think that, no, in my own area, I have the right to go now and complain to the regional council that I don't have enough budget. They should come and assist me in my own area. Because they're the overall boss in the whole region. Therefore, a council in Bonge or a council in Ekundo Titi has every reason, if they cannot meet up, to move to the regional council because the regional council have been given enormous powers as per the documentation that we have.
Okay.
So at the end of it, do we think they will be able to meet up? It becomes complex, and so at the end of it, I think that the state, just like what Larry is saying, that probably he's talking considering that they are still beginning. But I think that the state should have given a loss considering that they are beginning.
Okay, but from what we understand, the amounts allocated to these regions is 3 billion francs CFA, right?
Let me just let me just correct something, or I'm not correcting, but I'm just trying to brief something. That the city councils will go to the regional councils. No, the law section 1 of that same law says that local authorities shall have equal status. The subdivisional council is autonomous in its way. It's not going to the state, except they may partner. They may go into partnership. The city council is autonomous. The regional council is autonomous. No, the regional council.
The city council works just for the city.
That's why I'm saying that. I'm saying that they have all their specificities. Each and every one has its own specificity. Then you cannot. The regional council is not bossing. It's not bossing the subdivisional council. The regional council is not bossing the city council. Yeah. So they all have
regional councils have limitations.
That's what I'm saying, that they have their attributes.
That there are particular things that they cannot do without a visa from the regional council. That's why they have grand councillors, councillors who represent them there.
No. When we say a visa from the regional council, there is no provision for that. They can partner with the regional council, but the regional council does not visa anything on the subdivisional council.
Yes, I will still read section 359. An aspect of it says that the chief executive officer, who is the president, will prepare and implement deliberations of the regional assembly, authorize the revenue and expenditure of the region, subject to separate provisions laid down by law. But here we're talking about a regional assembly that has to work with a budget of 3 billion francs CFA for an entire region. When we know that there are councils that have a budget far.
The Limbe Council, for instance, City Council, 10 billion.
Yes. We have councils that run in billions, and then a regional council or assembly will have to work on the budget of 3 billion for an entire region. Is it, what would that achieve?
I think your question could, one way be, maybe it's ridiculous, because when you, how do we understand that? Because we are looking at the regional council, and it's as if which is supposed to take care of a whole region, and it's as if we are looking at those city councils as some entities that are somewhere else who don't make out that region. They are still in that region, and we are having those city councils with some of them being very, very powerful. Now you now understand that even the position of the regional president would be very, very, I mean, so low compared to that of some city mayors. Now you understand. So it is a whole lot of confusion, and that is why we needed to precise. I mean, I think that the government actually wanted to do something, but they didn't get exactly what they were going to do. Now, let me take for example, we're only looking at regional councils. We are not looking at the responsibility of the government. Go to the cahier de charge of the governor. The cahier de charge, one of the functions of the governor, which they have not changed up to now with the introduction of the regional council, is that one prescription, a duty of the governor is that he ensures the social and development plan of the region. That is one of the prescriptions, the job prescription of the governor. Now, when the governor is, which has not changed with the introduction of the regional council, when this is one of his primordial role as the governor who represents a region, I mean a governor in a region, then where does the regional president comes in? Now, let me talk about the devolution of power. For example, look at section 18.2, sub 2, where they say the state may exercise the power devolved to local authorities. Now, you see that, like Mr. Farr said, you give a goat and you are holding the rope. Look, for example, they say the state can exercise the power devolved to a local authority if government decides to intervene. When does the government decide to intervene? And they are talking about the governor. This one implicitly talks about the governor, and that is why already in the law they say they cannot hold any meeting without the authority of the governor. It means that in that line the government can say no, I do not want. There is this kind of confrontation that they want to hit for people. Now, secondly, in that very section 18.2, they say if the minister concerned decides to intervene, he can override the president, regional governor. What is the meaning of that? I mean, it doesn't make sense in any way. It means as if, I don't know, they wanted to copy something, but the photocopy was not very clear. I mean, that is what we should understand. It's a very wrong photocopy that they put in place. You know, and that is why we don't need to fool our people. This issue, anybody who goes supporting the issue about the regional council is stuff. I mean, it's just a way to blindfold our people who cannot reach what they have written. It appears as if the people that they hired to even write these laws, they even got confused along the line. Because they have to distinguish, they have to make a clear cut about what they are talking about, regional assembly or regional councils, and then the functions of actually the representative of the government in the region. Look at what is happening in the council. You see, I talked about the issue of the prescription of what the regional assembly, the regional council have to do. When you look at that, then you ask yourself, what are the councils supposed to do, especially the city council? What are they supposed to do? Because they are almost at every point. They build slaughterhouses. Look at their function. They will build slaughterhouses. They will build motor parks. They will fishery, farming. I mean, all those little things. They will even fix the roads. I mean, in terms of education, they will take care of the teacher. The next year, and then you ask yourself, but where is the function of those local authorities that are supposed to be? It means that those local authorities will serve just as a consultants. So that when they want to do something, they come and meet them and they ask, what do you have here to do? They are just there. They have no function any longer. They will start hitting hate very soon. And Mr. Larry even talked about, I hate this issue of saying that they are not up to 1 year in office. These people are more than a year in office, getting to 2 years. That was from 22nd of December 2020. I mean, you say they are not up to 1 year. That is how we keep on defending them and saying that they still have time. They still have time. I mean, and up to now, they have not even had the seat to sit and decide on whether they say we still have time. We need 5 years to have and to draw a plan to work for our regions. They didn't prepare for Cameroon because I know that when something introduced, or technocrats have already looked ahead and seen that these are the challenges and this is what people are supposed to get into work immediately, because it was an immediate call from the people that to solve the Anglophone problem, to solve the problem of development, these things should be put in place. And before the thing is put in place, people are supposed to have worked on it and seen that these are the challenges and these are what we are going to do. Not that people come in office and stay for 2 years and we are still pampering them and saying that
putting in place.
They are still putting in place. My God, what is all this? I mean, I think this is a shame. It is a shame in this country that we have to do the necessary.
Monsieur Basile, est-ce que vous comprenez ce que le docteur a dit là? Oui, parce que si quelque chose autorisé ou l'État décide de faire quelque chose sûrement, c'est parce que on en a besoin et qu'il y avait des crises. Il faut qu'on mette sur pied ces institutions pour répondre aux questions qui ne sont pas bien dans la société. Donc, on vous envoie résoudre un problème et dès qu'on vous envoie, vous prenez plus de 2 ans à apprendre ou à comprendre, à structurer tout ça.
Vous savez, la décentralisation, c'est quelque chose de nouveau, hein, et ce n'est pas encore totalement entré dans les mœurs, il faut quand même le reconnaître. Ça ne date que de 2 ans. Pas
la décentralisation?
Oui, la décentralisation effective. Je parle de la décentralisation. Je parle au niveau du conseil. On a encore 50 ans. Je parle du conseil régional. Oui.
Comme démocratie avancée.
Je parle d'un conseil régional. On va attendre 50 ans. C'est encore très jeune. Il y a beaucoup de gens qui ne comprennent pas encore effectivement le rôle d'un conseiller régional. Il y a beaucoup de gens qui ne maîtrisent pas encore les activités qui doivent, n'est-ce pas, permettre à ce que, au niveau de la région, on sent quand même qu'il y a une prise en charge, n'est-ce pas, pour résoudre les problèmes des populations. Mais c'est en train de se mettre progressivement en place, il faut quand même le reconnaître. Il faut sensibiliser nos conseillers régionaux sur l'importance même de connaître des tests, parce qu'il y a certains qui ne connaissent même pas les tests, pour connaître les rôles au sein du conseil. Et c'est pour cela que je pense qu'il faut...
Et plus.
Oui, attendez. Mais
lorsque
vous voyez les conseils qui sont mis en place en France, c'est pratiquement un siècle déjà. Donc nous sommes encore dans la phase d'apprentissage des conseils régionaux. Donc il faut quand même essayer de comprendre un certain nombre de choses.
On continue à comprendre même dans 50 ans.
Non, je suis sûr et certain que d'ici 2 ou 3 ans, les choses vont véritablement y aller. Mais je pense pour ma part que, comme Lionel l'a si bien dit, il faut véritablement que les choses aillent un peu plus tôt, hein, en formant nos conseils régionaux, en les sensibilisant. Je pense que vous êtes membre du conseil.
Non, je n'en suis pas.
Vous vous n'en êtes pas. Parce que j'ai eu comme l'impression que vous êtes membre du conseil.
Non,
je disais qu'on voyait quelqu'un qui est outillé, parce que lui comprend, il maîtrise mieux.
Mais je suis conseiller municipal.
Voilà. Donc, voilà des gens qui sont outillés parce qu'ils maîtrisent mieux. Vous avez été conseiller municipal, vous êtes conseiller municipal, ça veut dire que vous maîtrisez mieux. Parce que quand vous allez voir même ceux qui sont dans le conseil régional, certains n'ont même pas encore été conseiller municipal. C'est une aberration, c'est quelque chose qu'il faut revoir les tests pour essayer de mettre des personnes qui ont quand même une certaine aptitude à pouvoir gérer les choses. Moi, non, l'État n'a pas échoué. L'État n'a pas échoué, au contraire.
Il devrait mettre des gens, disons, même de conseil, qui a quand même
L'État
un basse.
L'État n'a pas échoué parce que les tests ne sont pas...
Parce que 2 ans plus, il ne maîtrise pas les choses.
Les tests ne sont pas inamovibles. Les tests sont dynamiques. Au fur et à mesure qu'on connaîtra une certaine avancée, on peut revenir.
Monsieur Bazir, sans vous couper, moi je pense que c'est l'idée centrale, vraiment pour avoir précipité la mise en place du conseil régional, c'était premièrement pour résoudre le problème anglophone. Moi, je pense qu'on devait prendre des dispositions, le gouvernement devait prendre des dispositions pour vraiment mettre, ne serait-ce que l'effectif, c'est-à-dire l'effectif qui peuvent booster. Moi, je pense, en tant que conseil municipal, comme je suis, c'est bien, ça pouvait aller nous arranger un peu si certaines personnes, parce qu'ils ont nommé un trésorier, ils ont nommé tous ces techniciens-là. Moi, je pense que ça ne devait pas nous coûter grand-chose si c'est-à-dire on avait déjà formé oui, voilà. Donc quelque part, ce retard est en train de causer, c'est-à-dire c'est en train de causer ce problème que nous avons.
Je voudrais terminer en disant que j'ai écouté les uns et les autres au niveau du rôle qui est donné au gouverneur, qui est l'autorité administrative. Vous savez que l'autorité administrative a un rôle de régulation, de contrôle des lois. Hein? Il n'intervient pas dans la gestion du conseil. Il y a un organe de délibération qu'on appelle organe délibérant, qui est celui, n'est-ce pas, qui décide, n'est-ce pas, de comment est-ce que la région va être gérée. L'autorité administrative n'intervient dans la gestion, ou bien dans la prise en compte, ou bien dans la prise des lois, la prise de décision, c'est ce qu'il faut dire, la prise de décision du conseil délibérant. Le conseil est autonome, hein, un organe de régulation pour permettre à ce que les uns et les autres ne s'écartent pas de la loi. De temps en temps, l'organe de régulation va les ramener
mais il y a le contrôle, il y a le contrôle, il y a un mécanisme de contrôle parce que ça se dit. Section 74 says the decisions of local authorities shall be forwarded to the representative of the state in the said local authority by registered letter of delivery at the competent services against an acknowledgement of receipt. Electronic transmission of documents by local authorities to the representative of the state shall be admitted under the conditions laid down by the laws and regulations in force. Evidence of receipt, they say the governor shall be the supervisory authority over the region. Donc, in the case of the councils, it is the SDO, who is the supervisory authority.
The subdivisional councils, the DOs.
Des DO, oui, des DO. Non, je pense qu'il joue un organe de régulation et de contrôle. Et son rôle se limite là. Il n'intervient aucunement dans les décisions qui sont prises en charge par le Conseil. Mais je souhaiterais vraiment que cette question soit véritablement mise en avant pour qu'on puisse une autonomie complète au Conseil régional, quitte à ce qu'on crée, n'est-ce pas, au sein une structure qui peut sanctionner les présidents régionaux qui vont en marge de la République.
Tout à fait.
Okay, we're taking a short break to continue right after.
It's an early Easter at Canal Plus. Until the 9th of April, buy your HD decoder 5,000 francs and get a free installation. Experience the Champions League and the biggest football championships. Enjoy the best of movies and series, make the whole family and spend a good time together. Hurry, it's on the 9th of April, so don't wait anymore. See terms and conditions at Canal Plus shops. At last.
Welcome back. You're watching Prime on my Media Prime. This one from Pastor Derek Nlimbe says, as of now, the only power that the regional council has is the Cameroon flag that they put in their cars, that police does not disturb them. Good evening to you, Pastor. But my question now has to do with the emergency situation, Southwest and Northwest region, that actually initiated the process of the special status to these two regions. They are under special status, and we understand that 15% is supposed to go down to them, even if there is not enough money for all the 10 regions. These two regions are under special conditions because of the crisis that are ongoing, and then the monies are not almost the same amount to every region. How do you treat it? How the impression to the people that there is special consideration for these people?
That's why I was saying when you first asked me, I was asking your first question on how they feel, how impactful has been the regional assembly. I said the impact of the regional assembly can be felt different in different areas. For instance, the impact of the regional assembly in Boya cannot be felt the same in Mamfif today, and cannot be felt the same in Bangem or somewhere, partly because the finances, what makes, because when we are talking of power here, we are talking of the competencies and the finances. Finances have been transferred, but now they must be accompanied by something, what you call finances, the resources. So if the finance, there is no power. Power can only be with finance. Now, you tell somebody, you've given him all these things, that is the running economy, developing sports, developing this. At the end of the day, if he hasn't money to do that, those things are all stories. So as at now, I think the regional councils have not been actually felt because of lack of finances. Now, if I have to go by the findings I did at the level of the regional council in Boya, and I mean at the level of what is happening at the regional council in Boya and some other regional councils in the northwest, it will not. In fact, it wouldn't interest you to know that almost what was voted last year as 3 billion francs CFA, the totality has not been paid. So which therefore means the people are working on another, even the projects were thanks to the stringent measures they used in order to probably get themselves held and to press they really want to. Because the idea, the central idea here, special status something, is for this institution to at least entice the population, and especially our brothers and sisters, our brothers who are in the bushes, to use the right word, the right appellation of it, not bush, but bushes. And so this structure was supposed to be used as an enticing instrument to bring them back. And by doing so, how are we supposed to do so? By initiating projects that regions have been very much into crisis, and if there was any reason for these things to come this early, including the far north region, it was for them. So preference would have been given to the northwest and southwest regions in terms of financing, so that some of these projects can take off and appease the already enraged youth and population.
You say the perception that the people of the southwest or northwest may have of the regional assembly is different.
It varies. It varies
depending on where they are.
Yeah.
And you think that people in the cosmopolitan areas of Limbe, Boya may have
may have.
Yes, I wanted you to tell us what the regional assembly has been able to do. That the man in March 16, Ikuna or wherever.
Even in Boyata itself.
All right. I just want to
where they
briefly, as a journalist that I am, I've been nosing around. And I think one of those first things I discovered that the Regional Assembly did was to gather the IDPs who were all in Boya, I mean, from the 6 regions. And I think it gave,
divisions.
yes, the six, I beg your pardon, 6 divisions, and they gave them some good at Christmas. He fed them with what was expected. No, that was the first thing. I want to say. The second thing is that there are boreholes, even in my 16, that the Regional Assembly has constructed. We know my 16 is, in fact, the center of the cholera plague. Last year, I remember, my statistics don't fail me, if I'm not mistaken, there are 7 boreholes that were done within Fako Division by the Regional Assembly. There were, I remember, about 1,200 benches were distributed to classes, to schools in the 6 regions of the 6 divisions of the Southwest region, and many other things. There were assistants, I mean, medical assistance to some of the fight against COVID-19, because it falls directly within the domain of the Regional Assembly. The fight against COVID-19, I think, was spearheaded by the Regional Assembly. And so, when you look at the meager, I'm just, before I land, when you look at the meager something that was given to the, and compared to the outings and what they've done, I think for now, we can just say that the Regional Assembly, though with constraints, has been able to live up to expectation.
Up to expectation. Yeah, when you look, when you listen to what has been achieved so far, I want you to react to this, the kangaroo man as well as Dr. Michael Dimacho. Are these not almost the same things that our MPs who execute as a micro?
No, let me before this budget came, the budget had, as I had, definition of what has to be done. And so it is not a budget that was sent to globally address some situations. That budget came that it should be used for the training of regional assembly councillors, regional councillors, and that the seminars have been going on, and that it should be used for the equipping of offices. It was, the budget came with streamlined action. So
I'm not disputing.
I mean, comparing it. No, I don't want us to compare it with the regional assembly. Yes, they came
from Yaoundé.
Of course.
Yeah, but when you look at what he just highlighted here, it gives the picture of what the regional assembly may be doing in the years ahead. What is different from what we see our MPs do as micro grants, our senators, our municipalities, the councils? Is that not almost what are they doing? Are we saying that there's just going to be
duplication of actions
of those things?
If I start and say here, Yaoundé, I don't know why people are more confused than the word confusion.
No, it's not Yaoundé. Those guys in the field.
When I say, excuse me.
Okay, they have instructions from Yaoundé.
When I say Yaoundé is confused, the bitter truth is that these guys cannot produce magic if they are not following the line given to them from Yaoundé.
That's it.
Because you have a budget and a budget head. That's why I said that anybody who thinks that regional council has a big role to play to make miracles for things to turn around, the man is daydreaming or the woman is daydreaming. Because these very regional councils that cannot be innovative as per se, duplicate functions that parliamentarians are doing, the same function of benching that councils are doing, city councils are doing, sub councils are doing. At the end of it, even NGOs themselves, non-governmental organizations, are also giving benches to schools. So you begin to realize that these regional councils, in the first place, let me tell Yaoundé, the regional council you put in place, you were not even prepared. Confusion cropped in. Because you did not govern well and you thought you could fool the people, regional council, bam, without preparation. You cannot tell me that 2 regions have a worry. You take regional councils, you put there, you start spreading regional councils around the whole country. For reasons only God himself can tell. Littoral has, this one has. When sometimes the other 8 regions are normally they are used to their confusion. So with administration closer to them, this issue of assimilation or talking about direct rule, they are not even used to. So, at the end of it, when you take a look at the common system, what they call the British man system of rule, where you discover that at least they ruled with the officials around. You bring that kind of system, then you start compensating other people who did not even ask for it. The confusion comes into play. Now, as I said, if our regional councillors or the regional council as per se, even though they are still confused, what would be better is you take a look at, as per your specification, what the mayors are doing, what the parliamentarians are doing. Another ones are senators, very confused too. Because everything, in short, we have quadruple things repeating themselves day in, day out. And from the information we get, we start asking ourselves, if you gather IDPs and give them rice, this and that, the Minister of the Education started by giving that. Rice, metastasis, and all the like. Others came and they are giving. Others are giving. Councils are giving. So we think that if these councils were up to date, if they were not a scam in the name of bringing administration closer to the people, they would have equally been innovative. Mr. Leo, I tell you that we have carpenters in Boya from the affected areas who are offering free training. I mean, free training to IDPs. And it is yielding. You have what we call barbers who are doing the same. These are things this kind of council would have gotten into this kind of fields. Empower these guys who are even training people for free, so that instead of giving me rice, Chinese rice, now eat and go to the toilet next day, as a regional council, you are supposed to take a look at how do we empower these people, different from the usual rice, metras, bakes, and all the like. But on the other hand, I think that if we are looking at it, yes, because they actually failed for the simple reason that they were not even set for it. So what I think is that they should be able first to acknowledge their setbacks, and for us not to say that they are still learning. Because before the state is putting in place the function of the regional council, it means that they must have known that they can deliver. Now, if money is put for regular trainings, some have been in Yaoundé several times. Another kangaroo mechanism is that they too are under the tutelage ministry of local development, what they call local councils. You discover that even the minister himself also has a role to play in bringing them up. So finally, you start asking yourself, regional council, where do you really stand? Because you are in the midst of the governor, you are in the midst of the local council ministry, and at the end of it, you say you are on your own as the head of the region. So in a nutshell, I think that if we look at things squarely, we must be able to call a spade a spade. I know they have been confused on what do we do with the meager, probably the amount of money they have. But it's no doubt than to squander the money as some would do, better buy benches, even if the benches will get bad after one day. Better buy Chinese rice. People can chew and chew like chewing gum. And then by the end of it is that you have done something. So for the beginning, we can still appreciate them because we cannot say that they were totally not very productive. But the other thing is that what they have done is no news because it's the same things that others have done. And so like Larry was talking recently of the issue of their partaking in the cholera aspect. Now, they were doing their own part in the boreholes and all the like at the level of cholera to probably, during the period of COVID-19 rather, they came in. Cholera was coming in. They are trying to. They came in to supply potable water.
No, they have even given equipment worth about 10 million.
Yep.
I mean, bought these things 2 days ago that it was delivered to the regional delegate of public works or public health.
Yep.
That was in Bota there. So it was, I think, their own contribution.
No, my point here is this: regional councils, they cannot call you head of a region and you work only in areas that are comfortable. Larry. These people and the equipment they gave. Do you know that Acquire Health Center needs some of those things and the presence of the regional council?
No, it was given
because
Tayo, I'm not cutting you short.
It was given for them.
It was given to that's it. The regional delegate is the representative of the health units in the whole.
No, this is what I'm coming in, Larry. This is what I'm coming in, Larry.
Those things, wherever.
This is where I'm coming in.
Yes.
If you want your impact to be felt beyond Boya, for example, sometimes you are giving those things. You should accompany them to the areas because the priority you are giving, when you are giving the priority of the regional delegate or public head is not acquired as you think. You get the point. You are the one offering the things, and sometimes you know that in the first place, most areas out of the urban areas have health challenges in terms of equipment and personnel.
So let me say something. What has been given was for a specific epidemic. That is cholera. Is there cholera in Acquire? No,
That was specific.
It was.
It means that the only help they have given is for cholera.
No, I mean that the help that came in this day was for cholera. We have what has been given for COVID-19 that was spread all over the region.
Dr. Ma, we are looking at the dispositions of the law that is giving powers to either the governor or the president of the regional assembly. But can we also say that at times we have to impose ourselves to actually make our impact felt? Why not also talk to the people and tell them that I'm here to serve you? This is what I have to do. I know these are your expectations. This is what, if Larry is explaining here that there are feelings that these guys received 3 billion, which they have not received. People are expecting more from them. Why are they not also telling the people what is happening?
It is simple, Mr. Leo, because this thing was created to compensate people. It was created to compensate people. That is why they are quiet. Something is pinching them. They know that their hands are tied. Let me remind our viewers, Leo, there is a section 87, 88, and 93 which creates monitoring bodies, monitoring board for the regional council. Yes. And section 87 talks about the National Decentralization Board, which is one of them. Yeah. Section 88 talks about the Interministerial Committee on Local Services, which is the second. Section 93 talks about the parliamentarian, senators who are, imagine, 3 of them, 3 monitoring bodies. Is this not a shame? Look at this. It means that their hands are tied and they cannot ooze out because they know that we are appointed actually to compensate them. Now look at this. The only thing that I heard was sung on national television, on newspapers, was when the president signed about their remuneration. It made a lot of noise. These guys, they cannot miss their remuneration.
No, they cannot.
I mean, that remuneration was sung in all the media houses. How this one will pay this, this one will pay this, and this one will pay this. I'm asking myself, in 1972, when Ahijo decided to abolish the federal system, what reason did he give? He said it is because it was expensive. That's one of the reasons he gave, and it was tangible. People accepted it. That is expensive. Is this thing? This, masqueraded thing, not more expensive, triple expensive than the federal system. I think we need to get it right here. We are saying that there's a lot of confusion. This regional assembly was created because of the Anglophone problem, principally. Now, let us ask ourselves, what were the cries of the Anglophones? What were the Anglophone clamoring for? That we thought that, and they know that they have created this body in the midst of war. The war is ongoing. And they've actually had to carve out the mechanism for them to be able to solve this problem during the war, not after the war. But it has been realized that these guys are so comfortable in their houses, in the main towns of the regions. It means that what? We have not had any impact, because one of the questions they're asking themselves is, how are we going to get through with the war, the crisis that is going on? This is what most of them are asking. And then we are asking them back the question. When you were appointed or when you were elected, were you elected during the war and for the purpose of this war to solve the war? This is the question we're asking them. Look at people like parliamentarians who are supposed to be solving grassroots problems. Parliamentarians are now the bosses. The monitoring, they have a monitoring status of the regional. Does it make sense? Parliamentarians, they can sit comfortable and say that, okay, there are people who are doing the work for them, and they have been put as a monitoring entity to supervise them. This is not serious. I think that these guys, they are pelicans, like Mr. Kum is asking. Can they not actually stand out? Is there no courageous person? Is not, like some of those people who have seen the National Assembly who have stood up and spoken the truth. The honorable with us and the Kmer, rest in peace. I think that they have to get up, and because at the end of the day, the people are going to hold them responsible because they know they have been giving money. Even if it's 3 million, can they not make an impact? They have taken advantage of the cholera, and then they go, just like the minister who took 10 buckets of this and went and give for COVID. What a shame in this country. Let people rise up to their responsibility. That is the spirit of the Anglophone. Because like our panelists said that we are not used to this kind of a system. How are we not used to? We are used to it. It's because we have decided to francophonize it and make it, do that, carry it out, that lackadaisical spirit. We have forgotten that we are Anglophones, that we go at it. We fight. We are people who fight and we render services to our people. Because, I mean, I think that we are talking to the population. Those people who have been elected in your different councils, you should hold them responsible. Because they have accepted to come and bring, I mean, they have accepted to bring a solution to the problem that you have. If they do not bring the solution, ask them. They are supposed to be the immediate people. But now, who are we asking from now? The local councils or those, I mean, so it's a whole lot of confusion that they have created. That, I mean, it's like a mire where the escape is really going to be chimerical. And I'm afraid that if I think there is no too late. We can change this thing and bring what the people were asking for. Because we wanted to make a window dressing of what is called federalism. That is what we know very well. And even a little child would talk about it. Let us bring back what people know. Rather than 10 years, take 10 years to settle an office. We keep on saying that they are young. In 5 years' time, we will say that it's just 5 years now. Like people keep on saying that we are only 50 years independent now. Now, how do you expect us to have already grown? This is the kind of language and question that we keep, fooling ourselves about. Let us rise up at it and tell these people that if you are accepted to do this job, you should do it wholeheartedly. If not, then it should just be like the empty basket of the national dialogue.
OK. Monsieur Basile, est-ce que les conseils régionaux aussi ne sont pas des promesses faites au peuple camerounais qui ne pourra pas être tenues? Est-ce que les gens n'attendent pas plus que les conseils régionaux peuvent en donner?
Vous savez que la décentralisation, c'est le programme politique du chef de l'État, son excellence Paul Biya. Et il a toujours prôné, n'est-ce pas, de permettre à ce que les communautés puissent eux-mêmes participer au développement de leur localité. C'est effectif. Maintenant, la question que vous me posez est assez pertinente. Parce que ça rejoint, n'est-ce pas, l'aspect, c'est la capacité du Conseil à véritablement mettre sur pied des mécanismes qui puissent, n'est-ce pas, ce que les localités dont ils sont censés, n'est-ce pas, impulser le développement puissent véritablement ressentir l'impact. Pour répondre à cette question, il faut d'abord questionner ceux qui sont au sein du Conseil. Il faut questionner les capacités. Moi, je ne suis pas d'avis avec ceux qui pensent que pour être conseiller municipal, conseiller régional, il faut forcément avoir une aptitude intellectuelle. Mais je suis pour ceux qui pensent que pour avoir un poste comme président régional, comme maire, il faut avoir des capacités intellectuelles parce que là-bas, il est question, n'est-ce pas, de trouver des moyens, de pouvoir toi-même comprendre déjà même ce que c'est que la décentralisation, trouver toi-même les moyens pour pouvoir implémenter ce dont tu es en charge de faire. Donc, il faut véritablement que le maire qui soit élu, n'est-ce pas, par le conseil, par le conseil municipal ou bien le conseil régional, en ce qui concerne le président du conseil régional, soit en même capable, et quand même des capacités intellectuelles qui puissent, n'est-ce pas, lui permettre d'apporter un jugement de valeur sur ce qu'il est censé faire. Nous ne voulons plus, n'est-ce pas, au sein, à la tête de ces mairies ou bien de ces conseils, des hommes d'affaires qui ne maîtrisent rien et qui viennent seulement là pour attendre les CAC de l'État et les centimes additionnels pour gérer simplement les bons de commande et se limiter uniquement à la signature des actes administratifs. Il faut repenser un modèle de conseil, de président de conseil ou bien de maire qui puisse nous permettre effectivement de joindre le type à l'agréable en associant, n'est-ce pas, les populations. Et dans ce sens-là, je voudrais que ces maires, ces présidents du conseil associent, n'est-ce pas, les associations qui sont plus près des populations et qui sont en même capables de vérifier, n'est-ce pas, l'effectivité de la décentralisation au sein des quartiers. Cela limiterait, n'est-ce pas, la surcharge qui pourrait advenir au sein, en ce qui concerne la ressource humaine, dans les conseils, dans le staff dirigeant ou bien dans les mairies. Donc c'est comme ça que moi je pense que les populations peuvent, c'est la mesure ou bien c'est le moyen par lequel les populations peuvent, n'est-ce pas, toucher du doigt véritablement l'avancée du conseil de la décentralisation.
Okay. Mr. Larry Esso, we have just 30 more minutes and we may not have enough time to discuss a second topic, but since we are talking about the real paths and resources that our regional assemblies actually command on the ground, what should be that a strategy that could be employed by the existing regional assemblies to at least some extent meet the expectations of the people? Should they not tell the people what they can do and what they should not expect from them? That is their competence.
Yeah, I think
because when you don't tell people that this is what I can do, what you should expect from me, people will expect that you should build bridges, you should open up roads, you should do this.
Exactly. I think that's exactly what I was trying to say here when we started. I was trying to kind of paint a picture of a structure that is still to find its feet. Okay. I'm not saying that the regional assembly is not implanted. It has. Now, for an implantation effectiveness, when we understand the mechanism on which we work, because it is a state structure. It is not somebody's structure. And so the state structures it. It gives you the organigram. This is how it's supposed to work. Like Mr. Bazi was talking a couple of minutes ago, the decentralization process is a new concept in Cameroon. We are still learning it. No doubt, it was introduced about in 1974 by France in some other countries. And the first test exercise failed. It failed. And so France brought it back in the early 90s, in the late 90s again, in order to make it workable. So we are saying here in effect that the process, even right in France, is still on a test period, a trial period, though they have gone a little bit further than where we are. So what I'm trying to say is that the structures are still being put in place. We are not like, I'm not like patting the delayance and the patting the people on their back because of the delayance and the shortcomings that have probably been witnessed in the implementation of this process. But I'm trying to say that for us to probably apportion blames, we should be able to apportion it to the right quarters, because those down there are just, we call them in French bouc émissaire, they are scapegoats. So to say the least, what they should be doing, they have to communicate, and that is already in the process. The structures are still being put in place because, like I said, we need an organigram. We should be able to know who is supposed to work where and how. So you cannot just get up and then you start recruiting people, and when the organigram comes, it gives you something different. You start, So we should be able to have.
Who defines the organigram?
It's the state. That's the state. That's what I'm saying. The Ministry of Decentralization and Local Development sends an organigram with the proposition, which has to be debated and adopted by the General Assembly of the Regional Council. There must be a session to adopt the organigram, and which has to be sent back to him for approval. These are some of the technicalities we must understand. So as of now, the organigram is at the level of the regional, the Ministry of Decentralization, and I'm sure in a few weeks it will come. But then I think the regional assembly should embark now on a very tense sensitization exercise.
Are you saying they can't work because the organigram is not there?
No, they are working. What they are supposed to do, they do it. But they will not go all out to do what is expected of them. Because there are certain components that have to be respected. Because at the end of the day, somebody should not go with chains in his hand that you misappropriated, because every other budget has a heading. And so if that structure is not yet there, you don't expect that person to. So what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that there is an organigram that is going to be in place in the next few days.
When you look at the structure,
but
when you look at the structure,
to answer your question a bit. To answer your question, I said, in as much as we await the organigram, there should be mass information, mass sensitization of the population. The population should be able to know what the regional council is all about, what they are capable of doing and what they are not capable of doing. They should use all the available tools, communication tools, to be able to reach out to the man on the street. That today, after all, we are a global village. The digital, we are in a digital era where any other means can get us connect to the rest of the people. We don't need to still assemble people on the table or somewhere in order to pass information across. We have other means, other electronic means that we can always do that, and so on and so forth. So I think one of the first things is that the regional assemblies, the 10 regions, should be able to communicate, most especially those of the Southwest and Northwest region, where peculiarity and particularity or peculiarities have been identified, and of course given the pride of place we should give them. We should be able to communicate as much as possible to make them understand what they can do and what they can't do. Because as of now, every other person believes that the regional assembly is in total control of every other thing. But whereas you understand, therefore, that they have their limits, they have their challenges as well. So I think dissemination of information and probably sensitization on what has to be done and how it's supposed to be done and when it is supposed to be done by who will definitely solve this problem.
Okay, but one last, just be brief.
Yeah.
When you look at the position that is occupied by the regional president, be it for the Southwest and Northwest, are you comfortable? What is his position?
No, I think
protocol-wise.
No, I think if I say I'm comfortable, then I'm lying. Because if you are the chief executive officer and elected, I have kept saying it. I am a regional councillor, and then in a council session to come and impose somebody on me who is not elected, I think I would not take it kindly. So when you look at the situation where an elected official cannot freely discharge his duty, he is caged. I'm saying that he is caged. It becomes a sorry sight. It's like, it's like propagating, showing something out there which is inwardly it's rotten. I'm saying this because it is against the principles of democracy. It is not, because in democracy we should be able to have the person whom the people have given the mandate to do the job, do it properly. It should not be subjected under somebody who has been appointed. What is that whole issue of representing the head of state? Who cannot represent the head of state? And who is the head of state? The head of state is an elected president. And so why should an elected regional president not represent the head of state in that circumstance? Why should it be an appointed person? If we are talking democracy here, we should be able to send this message across. The head of state of President Paul Biya was given a universal, we gave him the mandate and the vote through a universal suffrage. And so he is an elected president. Now, if somebody has to represent him anywhere, he should be an elected official, not an appointed official. Yeah.
Not an appointed official. The kangaroo man, are you comfortable with the position? If he's the chief executive officer, is he the first or the second person in our regions? Can we confidently say that if the people of the Southwest have a problem today and they come out, they will run to the office of the Regional Assembly President? You are our father, this is our problem, we want you to solve it, or they will run to either the governor?
No, they run to the governor. They cannot run to, those ones are toothless bulldogs. We'll talk about regional councillors, regional president, because, as I said, the law is talking there, but at the same time, the law is selling the goat and holding the rope. You know, if you want to look at it here, what are the other things that make him, even that you cannot run to him? The governor has powers, he controls security, he controls many other things. Now you run to the person who can protect you. If I run to the regional councillor here, he will need to take clearance from the governor. It means he's not still my father.
Even his
why don't I just go straight to the governor?
Security is assigned to him by the governor.
Even his security is assigned to him by the governor. So in that case, why don't I just run straight to the governor and say, Papa, you run bad? So, but the main thing we are saying here is that, in my own humble, though the whole issue has been mad already, but I think that if I were this country, if I were those who are in Yaoundé as kangaroo as they are in their mechanisms, they would have just left this thing to stay. The real thing is that I'm pitying those who are there, because they give them expectations when they cannot do it. You know what it means that you're talking with the regional council? It tells that, well, if I could do this, I would have been able to do, but unfortunately I cannot do it. It means that it's a worry. So in real terms, Yaoundé should know that the form of state, bringing power closer to the people, means that you give them the power completely. But when you want to give them the power, and then you bring independent conciliator, you bring Secretary General again, all of them are appointed to come and be working where they have some sphere of influence above the regional president. At the end of it, you are playing a ping-pong game. So in my own opinion, I would say that I'm just debating on this issue because we are here for debate. For me, I know that regional assembly has nothing to do with my agenda. Why? Because I'm still to feel the impact. If I was feeling that impact of power is closer to. Now, there are some ministries that do not divulge the powers as per se. Because a ministry has regional delegate. They take their budget from the National Assembly, they vote their budget at the National Assembly, they defend their budget rather. The budget is given to them, they trigger items to regional delegates. Regional delegates to divisional delegates. Now, for those like agriculture, fishery, that have subdivisional delegates, they trigger it down. It will be difficult for you to come and you want to override probably what they have in their own organigram, except you have the money to do it. If you have the money to do it, you can just see them and say, okay, you since that you want to come and provide pigs here, piglets here, and agricultural farm goods, okay, you go ahead, good. But in the case where you will still be waiting for them to do it, it will be a mix-up. Like we are saying here as if it's a joke. This thing of regional council, as we say, will make other services that we're supposed to work to become redundant. Because in a case where a delegate in an area who is supposed to normally, like take inspector of basic education, say Boya Central, who knows that it is supposed to be his duty to visit the schools, do reports, and see that those schools have been damaged by wind, maybe during the rainy season, Hamatan should be repaired. Sometimes he will easily know that, but the regional council is spelled out clearly that education is part of his assignment in the region. So at that time, you discover that while he might be doing his report, behind his, at the back part of his mind, he will know that no. But after everything, even if my ministry does not respond, the regional council is there to respond on these issues of education. The same case will go the same with a district medical officer who thinks that probably part of his business is destroyed by wind or natural disaster. And while he's waiting for funding from the tutelage ministry itself, he will know that, but the regional council is there and they have all it takes to assist in this aspect. So at the long run again, I just think that, to be honest with all of us here, we will talk today, talk tomorrow, talk after. Regional council will not solve the issues of divulging power to the people and ameliorating the living conditions of the people, especially when it is a toothless bulldog that has not been able to have prerogatives in solving the current security challenges that we have. Now, if we talk about a regional council that could equally stand somewhere and seek peace or seek reconciliation at a level between the armed groups and the government and all the like, we'll be understanding. But where we are, the only person who has the power, I repeat, not even GOs and governors. When I see some GOs gallivant up and down and say, put down your arms, they don't have power. They're only blowing hot air. The head of state, when he decides that this crisis will come to an end, it will come to an end. Because he knows what it takes to put in place the mechanism. How do you explain a problem that takes across 2 regions and almost affects national territory, and a sub-geo in one corner thinks that he alone can perform the magic for changes to come? You could start, yes, but it's a far-fetched dream because all of you, it's a collective effort. If I'm doing this the same capacity, and others are doing, and the powers to have been given to me to do that, fine. But if you are only acting as a state representative, where you don't have the powers given to you in that direction, we'll still be wasting time. So we are wasting state budget under the what we call regional assembly. J'appelle ça dépenses inutiles. Paiement de salaire, tout ça, ça sert à rien. So let us just go home and rest.
Let me tell you.
Yaoundé, rule the way you like. When you get tired, you tell us.
Let me just put in something again. You spoke something very about regional delegates and those, and that is a conflict. The regional delegate may be redundant. No, regional delegate, regional delegations and all those other ministries are technical services that can be useful to both the regional assembly. They handle the technicalities. The regional assembly is just there to help them.
They don't have it in their specification.
No,
sir,
I'm saying that
in their budget vote, they have monies that triggers right down. When you vote about the ministry,
they
have their role. I'm not talking about what the national council is doing.
They have their cards.
Yes.
They have
their credit cards.
Yes.
That they
execute. They have credit cards. The credit cards are definitely moving to somewhere, and they collect it from somewhere. I'm saying that technically, they are doing the technical work. And so it is not conflicting with what the regional council is going to do. The regional council is just there. It's a political body. It's a political body. Call it a political body that goes around there to supervise and see that these things are done. But the technical services are there to assist it do the job.
Practically speaking, what can we achieve in a region with 3 billion francs CFA, Doctor?
That's interesting. I know. I think this is just to suffocate them, to give an impression. I mean, I really think that they should rise up and say something. People are dying, I mean, and they don't want to speak out. You already realize that it is not even just that problem of budget. There's an anthropological problem. I don't know what I would call it, a social problem. You already even see the chiefs who, I mean, not only decrying that they don't have an open hand to be functions as a chief of the Northwest, they are having another problem. They say they don't want to be called, those of the Northwest don't want to be called the chiefs. They want to be called the House of Funds. Already, that's already another problem. It means that this comes when there's confusion. This comes when there's confusion. And you know, it sparks up something. When they have really start cramming over the fact that let them not be called House of Chiefs, let them be called House of Funds, it shows that there is more to it than meets the eye. And coming back to the issue of the budget, I think that the budget shouldn't really, for now, be a problem. Let them show proof of being able or of having done something. And then we can say that the budget is small. We have had ministries or we have had sectors in this country that have fabulous budget, but we don't see what they're doing with it. I think that the budget is when you use it. A budget is when you use it. They are not elected for 1 year. They are not elected for 2 years. Those people are elected for up to about 5 years. And I think that their work could be progressive. If they have 3 billion, I read one of the clauses here which says that they have to also source for revenue in their individual regions. That could add up to the budget that they have. But the most funny thing that we have is that what we are finding it difficult to understand that we are not feeling them anyway. Probably because of the conflicts of authority. And I have said that if this thing called the regional council stuff has to work, let the post, that thing called the governor, go away. Let the DOs, divisional officers, go away. Let the sub-DOs go away. Perhaps that could be a starting point for them to be able to do. We know about the administrative bottlenecks. These guys do not have a free hand. And the answer to your question to say that budgeting is not a problem. 3 billion could start doing something and do it progressively. Let them give reports of what they are doing. If today, I mean, I just enumerated what they are supposed to do here. If they have to do a slaughterhouse in Bamenda, yes, let them put a slaughterhouse there. Let us see. If they have to be able to, build or employ staff in a primary school, let them do it and tell us and give us statistics and say, in this particular subdivision, this is what we did. And then we can start complaining that the budget is small. We can't be saying that the budget is small when we're not even seeing what they are able to do. Maybe it will be progressive. If there are people who work hard, as they are going to source of their own revenue, progressive as years go by, they are going to have much more avenues to have money. And therefore, they have a starting point of 3 billion, which is not small. But let them give an accountability to the people of the Northwest and South, and focusing all the other regions, because it's masquerade. I don't even know why they talk about this and other regions. Because we concentrate on the Northwest and Southwest. Let them give accountability and show how, when they started, okay, this is how they have been reducing to the crisis. This is how many more young people are abandoning the war or whatsoever and coming forward, because these are the jobs that they are creating for the people. I mean, for the small amount of money they have.
That is it.
This is what we expect. We don't need to give them 100 billion before we see that they are going to do something. Nothing. Because I even see that with Cameroonians, when you put a lot of budget, that's what you are inciting them. You are inciting corruption. That is what happened. Look at the COVID funds. What happened? People got so overwhelmed with a lot of money they were not expecting, and they didn't do anything. But I think that with small amount of money, you can give an accountability. Right. And I think this 3 billion is okay. Let them start and tell us. And we are going to hold them in account of what they are going to do. At the end of this period, we are a civil society, and we are following them closely. And if they don't give an account, we follow them and we report what they are doing. We have journalists there, here. I mean, you should also do your own job.
Of course.
Yes, and let those people, if they are accepted to do it, because it's our thing.
Yeah.
I mean, this thing is not them solving the problem alone.
No,
we have to involve ourselves in solving this Anglophone problem. Yes.
Ok, monsieur Basile et Togo, si je vous demandais de faire une évaluation de ce qui s'est fait déjà, vous êtes satisfait depuis qu'on a mis sur pied les conseils régionaux. Et si vous n'êtes pas satisfait, qu'est-ce que vous attendez plus?
Oui, et il faut dire qu'il y a quand même une satisfaction dans la mesure où le cadre juridique a déjà été défini. Tous les conseils régionaux ont été déjà installés, ils ont pris fonction. Je pense qu'il y a même certains qui ont déjà commencé de manière opérationnelle. Il y a des descentes sur le terrain. Maintenant, ce qu'on attend du conseil, comme le docteur l'a dit, c'est qu'il y ait un changement positif au sein de la localité. Aussi longtemps qu'ils ne le font pas, ça ne servira à rien. Parce que le conseil a été mis sur pied pour pallier aux défaillances qui ont été remarquées au niveau du pouvoir central, au niveau de la centralisation de l'État. Il y a eu des défaillances qu'on a constatées. C'est la raison pour laquelle le conseil régional a été mis sur pied afin de résorber un certain nombre de problèmes qui ma foi, peut être résolu aussi rapidement que possible. En ce qui concerne les 3 milliards de dotations qui ont été données au conseil régional, comme le disait le docteur, il faut déjà qu'on voie la volonté de ces présidents du conseil de véritablement travailler, en faisant un bilan effectif de l'utilisation de cet argent. Moi, je ne voudrais pas voir le conseil régional se limiter uniquement à la livraison des bons de commande, des signatures administratives. Non, ce n'est pas ça qu'on attend. Si c'est ça, ça veut dire qu'ils n'ont rien compris du pouvoir qu'on leur a donné. On leur a donné un pouvoir de prendre des décisions de manière autonome pour résoudre le problème, les biens des populations. Aussi longtemps qu'ils ne le font pas, ça veut dire qu'ils ont complètement perdu le sens de leur valeur.
Beaucoup de gens donnent l'impression qu'ils ne le font pas parce qu'ils avaient peur que tout ce qu'ils doivent faire, les institutions, doivent descendre.
Non. C'est tort de le penser. Vous savez, dans le cadre de la décentralisation, surtout au niveau de l'acte qui décret, qui transfère les compétences, nous avons 5 compétences qui ont été transférées. Il y a le domaine culturel, le domaine sportif, le domaine associatif, il y a le domaine sanitaire, le domaine éducatif. Ça veut dire que dans ce domaine-là, ils peuvent déjà exercer. D'accord? Ils peuvent trouver des moyens au sein déjà même de la localité pour pouvoir prendre en charge un certain nombre de commodités en ce qui concerne l'éducation, sur les manquements dans la localité, en fonction des cultures, en fonction de l'anthropologie de la localité. C'est de ça qu'il est question. Donc, ne pensons pas que la mise en place du conseil est quelque chose de vain, d'inutile. Non, c'est quelque chose qui a été puissamment pensé et ça venait à point nommé, il faut le reconnaître. Parce qu'il y avait quand même un certain nombre de choses quand même qu'on reprochait déjà au pouvoir central. Maintenant, le pouvoir central peut se délester, peut respirer et penser progressivement à autre chose. Mais ce que nous attendons, effectivement, c'est l'association dans la prise de décision des populations. Il faut que les populations se sentent concernées, n'est-ce pas, dans les prises de décision au niveau des activités qui seront mises en place par le conseil régional. Aussi longtemps que les populations ne se sentent pas concernées, ça veut dire que c'est un échec total. Oui. Je vais prendre un exemple. Il y a une ONG qui est venue dans un quartier dont je ne citerai pas le nom ici à Douala. Ils ont construit un terrain de basketball. 6 mois après, lorsqu'ils sont venus faire l'évaluation, ils ont trouvé que le terrain de basketball était détruit par les jeunes. Alors qu'ils ont mis beaucoup d'argent pour mettre ça sur pied. Mais lorsqu'ils ont fait l'évaluation, ils ont demandé aux jeunes, mais pourquoi est-ce qu'on met un stade de football, un terrain de basket, pour que vous puissiez vous divertir, mais nous revenons 6 mois après, nous trouvons que tout est valipendé, tout est saccagé. Les gens ont répondu carrément que c'est parce que vous n'êtes pas venus nous voir avant de construire le terrain de basket. Parce qu'ici, il n'y a pas de basketteurs, ici, il n'y a que les footballeurs. Voilà. C'est la raison pour laquelle ça ne pouvait pas mettre du temps. Oui. Et effectivement, ils se sont rendus compte que Parce qu'ils n'ont pas associé les populations.
C'est pas de leur besoin.
Voilà, ils n'ont pas associé les populations. Ils ont mis sur pied une activité, ou bien le terrain de basket, qui ne correspondait pas, n'est-ce pas, aux activités qui sont menées dans le quartier. Et effectivement, ils ont repris le projet. Ils ont mis un stade de football. Et je peux vous rassurer que jusqu'à aujourd'hui, ce stade de football existe. Ça fait au moins 10 ans aujourd'hui.
Oui, c'est bon.
C'est un combat, vous pouvez aller le vérifier.
Okay.
Avant mon mandat. Okay. Donc, aussi longtemps que le conseil régional ne mettra pas en contribution les populations, notamment dans les régions du nord et sud-ouest, ça sera un échec total. Parce qu'il faut reconnaître que ce conseil régional, avec le nouveau statut de ces deux régions, est une importance capitale pour que la paix revienne dans ces localités.
Good evening to you all. Can you please ask Aya Paul what he has done to the people of Akwaya when he was in the National Assembly? We have ourselves to blame. This program is not talking about Aya Paul. Okay, good evening, Mr. Liu. The Regional Council's command powers are stipulated in the various legal instruments from the Constitution, the General Code of Regional and Local Authorities, amongst others, in the areas of economic, health, cultural, education, sports, etc. But the main problem here is that the state is taking forever to produce the various text of applications to enable them carry out the task ahead of them, thereby retarding their progress. It is like you give a cow to somebody and tell him to share without clearly telling him how he will share it. So, in as much as the powers transferred to regional councils are not enough, the ones transferred already are not having the various texts of application, and is putting the regional team in a confused state. I don't know why it takes a very long time to produce simple management instruments. Decentralization was enshrined in the revised constitution of 18 January 1996. If you calculate very well, you will see for yourself that it is already 26 years and we are still to implement decentralization. It is very poor. Okay? This one says bonsoir. Sur le plateau, Monsieur Liu, dites à vos panélistes que pour être bon dirigeant, on n'a pas besoin de diplôme, sinon son champion, ok, il parle à vous, Monsieur Basile, son champion serait mais plutôt un bon manager qui écoute et qui sait s'entourer des personnes intègres. Les conseillers régionaux ne feront pas de miracle tant qu'il n'y a aucune volonté politique de décentraliser véritablement. Okay, it did not tell us where you are writing from. Good evening, Leonard. While we acknowledge the rules overlap between the administration and the regional council, we should appreciate the fact that the regional council is already impacting our society. They are providing didactic materials according to needs, following the powers that have been transferred to them, and in consultation with the regional delegations, technical services, power has indeed come nearer to the people. It is important to note that 3 billion is for one semester. That means that in 1 year they have 6 billion francs CFA. This is coming from Dr. Anna Mboa Tonde, who is the Southwest Regional Delegate of Secondary Education. Thank you very much, Doctor. We are glad to read from you. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and to all the panelists. In my opinion, as an outsider, I think the regional assemblies have no real powers, as they are just there to fulfill the organigram. Absolute power still belongs to the governor. Thomas, writing from Dibanda, that's in mile 14 in Boya. Good evening to you, Thomas. Good evening. Great panelists. My name is Ebot Romario, a law student in the University of Boya. I love the advocacy spirit. Please wish to know the day and time of the debate program. We are here every day, 7 to 9 p.m. Good evening. Just to see the regional assembly in Cameroon have no real powers, because most of the affairs of assemblies are being dictated from Yaoundé. Chancellor Tada Rodriguez, writing from where we know not. Okay. I would suggest that the power be separated in terms of cost. This means the divisional, city, and regional councils will prepare their various budgets, which should be consolidated at the level of the regional council. Finally, the expenditure be limited within a range that is from, say, 1 billion to 2, divisional to go ahead from that range to be discussed in a joint session of the divisional, and above that to be decided in a joint session of the divisional, the city and the regional councils for the various councils to execute within their limits. Notable Ngambi, writing from where we know not. Okay. Good evening, dear panelists. Enjoy your program. My contribution here is that about a city council like Kumba, what will the Assembly Council do in respect to the Kumba market revenue? The government is wrapping people up. Okay. This one says, these structures will never function properly with appointed governors. These structures, okay. I am Joe, writing there. Good evening to you, the host, and all the learned members of the panel. Just wish to appreciate you all for the educative debate and for also being the voices of the voiceless. From Beche is writing from Douala here. Good evening to you all in the studio. Remain blessed. We are glad with you. Keep on, Sir Elvis. We're watching all every day. Now we are almost done with today's edition of the program. Larry, thank you for coming.
It's a pleasure, and I'm still once more blessed that I'm meeting Dr. Michael and for the second time on the same day after 3 years. It's more than a coincidence, right?
Okay. It's divine.
I think it's a divine something.
Divine arrangement.
Yeah, that's right. So I want to salute every other person. Unfortunately, Kumba is without light as I'm getting here. We've been suffering this. It's not a new phenomenon. Kumba, the outage situation there is alarming, and we hope that the powers that be, something is done to alleviate this situation. That we are having a program of this nature, which is quite educative, and Kumba is completely cut off from it.
Oh my God.
I think it's painful.
Okay. Thank you, the Kangaroo Man, for coming.
Yes, thank you very much. I think that I will be trying my best to start coming back, because I had spoken and spoken, finally nothing was changing. But I said, let me gather momentum and come back to face the kangaroo system that is in a confused manner of the first order. Greetings to Barrister Divine Mumulo, that is the president of Azikul, who is watching us right away, somewhere out there in Bamenda, Chualam area.
Azikul to sponsor this program.
And Azikul, just like to tell you clearly, you are just getting straight away. I think in the next few weeks from now, in about 14 days, Azikul will be coming up powerfully with my media prime. I'm giving you that is a promise already. Azikul is coming in because we're moving this way, and also to Boya with a new branch. So Azikul will be part and parcel. I am giving it, and they are watching and they are listening, because it's a program that we are already working on for Azikul to come in fully with my media prime and the entire team from Azikul Cooperative Union. They are with us. In a few days from now, as I gave it, you will see it happens, of course. I will accompany the president of the Azikul, the general manager, the rest, who will be coming here, of course, to do more of business and to inform people about our new developments in Boya. Thank you very much. So they are hearing, and thanks very much for the working in the spirit to let them know that they are already around the corner to come to you.
Yes, and all of you out there who are finding it difficult to sell, if you have a business venture, why not use my media prime or prime to reach out to your clients? It's a sure program to get you out there. Merci d'être passé par ici.
Merci Léonard. Je voudrais, n'est-ce pas, saluer tous les communicants du RDPC, particulièrement mon grand frère Émile Messi, qui nous écoute très attentivement depuis Yaoundé. Je salue aussi tous les jeunes de la GSE, ils se reconnaîtront.
Vous oubliez le professeur Boyomo.
Le professeur Boyomo, j'ai dit le communicant. Oui, bien évidemment, le professeur Boyomo, que je salue particulièrement, et je le remercie de la confiance renouvelée qu'il m'accorde chaque fois.
Okay, thank you too for coming, Doctor.
Thanks so much, Mr. Leo. I think that you should be referred to as a diviner, because before Far wanted to say something, you are known already, you predicted that that's what was going to happen. And at the same time, I know Mr. Larry will understand too that Leo is a diviner to bring us again at 3 years out. So there's a lot. I hope that we don't start casting and pronouncing things to happen. That will be fine. It is good for our country anyway. So thanks so much for the great job, and we hope that things will keep on getting better. Let no one ever say no one is listening. People are listening, and my major prime is shaping the way the government is doing its thing. You are the third republic, and I'm sure you are getting there.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
We want to thank you all who took time off to watch the program in your respective homes, especially you guys who watch through our Facebook handle, and a special gratitude to the production team of this program, not forgetting you, Tabi Tambe Bryant, who is supervising the work we do. Okay, stay blessed. Bye-bye.